Okay, I believe that I'm making a YouTube video. I'm not sure. This is my first time, and what I've learned is that you can't make a YouTube video until you have at least 50 subscribers. So if anybody happens to mosey along, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel so that I can work my way up there and I can actually have a live stream. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this by introducing myself, what I want to do, and what I hope to do. I'm a 65-year-old woman from Wisconsin. I've got 5 grown children, 9 grandchildren. The eldest is getting married soon, so I feel blessed that I've lived long enough for this. I've been living with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer for 12 years. I'm grateful and blessed that I'm still here. I do have some mobility issues. I have some brain issues, mostly in the area of like forgetfulness, slowness. I stumble in speech sometimes. A lot of pain in my bones. My cancer is in my bones. It left the breast and spread into the bones. It's terminal. There's no cure. The average life expectancy is about 2.5 years, and I've obviously way surpassed that. So I'm very grateful for that. I also just recently was diagnosed type 2 diabetes, which I'm trying to conquer that, and so I can get that off my list. I've been married 45 years. My marriage has been a hard one, a very hard one. I'm learning to say that because the negative words that I used to say to me are just, it's wrong. For my reasons, I chose to stay. So it's a waste of time to sit and criticize him or demean him. And so I've just decided to say it's been a very hard marriage. The one big blessing out of it, the biggest blessing ever, was our children. All 5 of them are awesome human beings. We did something right. I have a strong faith in God. I believe that God has carried me through all of this. My hard marriage, my cancer, and I also did not have a good childhood. I had a horrible childhood. My natural father, a real father, blood father, whatever you want to call it, sperm donor, left the 4 of us children when we were very young. And my mom hooked up with a stepfather that was an alcoholic. She was an alcoholic. He was very abusive. Sexually molested me for a few years. At 15, I ran away when I learned that you can get pregnant. And I ran away and ended up in foster care, and I stayed there till I was 18 and left. My relationship with my mom was never healed. It was never good. I know deep down now that I'm older and I've learned a lot. I believe she loved us with everything she had, but she couldn't get a grip on whatever happened to her. And I think also the things that I've learned is our parents didn't have the help that we have. They were ripped off. The therapies back then were sending them to a psychiatrist and dumping them with pills. You just didn't get good therapy. So my mom just really didn't stand a chance of ever getting better herself. So I'm not angry anymore at her. I'm sad. I'm sad that she was never able to get her life figured out and have a decent life. And it's sad. She had 8 children, and most of us are a mess. There's a couple of us that are doing okay, but most have drug issues, alcohol issues, and many other issues. Some have abandoned their own children. It's quite sad, and the family never healed all around. The aunts and uncles too were all messed up. It was just, my family is just a horrible, sad case of adults. I have a strong faith in God, a strong faith. I consider myself a faithful Christian, but the thing is, I fall short every day. I sin every day. I have so many things about me that I don't like. One of them is my sailor mouth. That's probably my biggest thing. I grew up and my family came direct from Italy and my grandparents, and I spent a lot of time there. And my gosh, the language in that house, and it's stuck. So I have a potty mouth. Otherwise, other than that, I think I do pretty well. I don't want to say I'm sinless, but I think I do really well. I talk to God all day, every day. He is my everything. I look at him as, he created me, he made me, and who am I to question the things that I've gone through in my life? I guess I was meant to walk through these fires for a reason. I think I've walked through them pretty well, come out pretty well. I like who I am as a human being and a woman. Doesn't mean I like what I've gone through. It just means I like how I handled it, learned from it, and moved on from it. And what I'd like to do with this channel is meet other people who have gone through similar things, and maybe we can just support each other or have tips for each other. Even though I'm older in life, I still struggle with a lot of the things of how I was raised. I question a lot of things. One of the things when you're raised in a dysfunctional, severely dysfunctional home with alcoholism, beatings, molestings, is there's just that self-doubt never, ever, ever leaves you. It never leaves you. I question everything. I don't trust my judgment. I don't trust my thoughts. I don't trust my feelings a lot. When I do certain things or behave certain ways, I question it all the time. And it gets frustrating. It gets sad. It gets angering. Because deep in my heart, sometimes I feel like what I'm feeling is right. I think my actions are right. But you always have that self-doubt. It just doesn't leave. And I know that stems from childhood. Break time. As for my marriage, I question all the time, should I have left? Well, I did leave, and I did divorce once. Should I have stayed away? Maybe. Too late now. I do have mobility issues, so I can't get around well. I do need some help and caretaking. That's not totally why I stay. I'd have to say it's probably not why I stay, because I can do it on my own. It's just hard. I think my goal was always to keep my family together no matter what, and somehow try to perfect the imperfection that we've managed to create, to show my kids that, no, marriage isn't perfect. It's downright hard sometimes. But you fight. You stay and you fight. It's not greener on the other side. Maybe I could have found a better partner. I don't know. I'm never going to know that now. But I do like that my family unit is together. I like that my kids have their mom and dad together. There's a lot of areas we do get along in. There's a lot of good areas. But the damage that he's done has impacted us financially, and that's where all the damage is. And the results are lifelong, and they're going to probably go with us until we're buried. I'll get into that in another video, but it's unless God drops a miracle of winning a lottery or something in our life, this will be, the financial impact is there until I die. But despite all that hardship, I've had some wonderful, wonderful times. And most of those have been since I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed September 22nd of 2011. I was told I had 6 to 12 months to live. And my kids did some fundraisers, and there were other things that came up. So I was able to take some really fun, unique, wonderful trips. And such a blessing, because I just don't think it would have ever happened. It might have happened because I had a good paying job when I got diagnosed, and I intended to stay at that job, and we were doing okay at that time. But when you get a diagnosis like that and you have to walk away, and I had to leave my job. I worked in child protective services, and you can't be in child protective services when you're on opiates and all kinds of meds that I was on that altered my brain, my responses, my reflexes. I just wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have been good serving the children and the needs of the parents. So I had to leave the job. So I haven't worked since, I think it was about 2012. If God would provide something for me, like severely part-time, where I have some control over minimal hours, I would love to do that. I do miss the socialization part. The one thing about living with an illness like mine is initially when you're first sick, oh, everybody is sending you cards, dropping you meals, sending you gifts, calling you, asking you how you are doing. The support was unreal. I mean, there were people crawling out of the woodwork that I never expected to check in on me and help me. And now that I'm these 12 years in, I don't hear from anyone other than my kids and my husband. It's the loneliest frickin' road ever. It's terrible. It's terrible. So getting back into some type of a part-time job would be a blessing, because then I could at least talk to somebody, plus earn income. So anyway, what else? I live in a tiny house in a year-round resort. The impact that the decisions that my husband has made that impacted us financially has landed us in a tiny house. Every home that I've had with this man in my 45-year marriage, I've lost. There's been 3 bankruptcies. So I've rebuilt my life several times. And every time we rebuilt and got into a house, it was a matter of time and it got taken away. Break time again. Love my lemon ice water. Anyway, so the last time that he did something, it took me way too long to learn. But I decided to go into something that if he does something again, I can keep it on my own. So we landed in a tiny house. The winters here are pretty much, it's a large resort. It has a lot of amenities, and it's wonderful in the summer, spring, and fall months. But those few winter months from, I'd say, November until March, late March, it is quiet. So it's basically like living in the country with just deer and whatever wildlife comes your way. And I don't mind it. I like it. It's like a nice break from the craziness of the summer here. But my house is only 400 square feet. My payment is only $340 a month. So if Mr. Wonderful decides that he is going to lose it again, I can take care of it on my own with my disability and my Social Security. And honestly, if he were to do one more thing, I'm done. I'm done. This last one that he did landed me into the psych ward for a week. I had a total breakdown, and I think the breakdown was the accumulation of not just my marriage and the things I've gone through with him, but I think everything from my childhood, everything just came to surface. And so I was carted off in an ambulance and put away for a week, and I will do a YouTube on that too, because that in itself is a whole story. For me, it ended up being one of the biggest blessings of my life. That's one of the things I learned about my mom. Because for my mom, she was a regular in the psych ward. I mean, for her, it was like a vacation. And for her, there was no help. She came out and she just kept getting meds. More meds, more meds, more meds. And no good therapy. And so she never got better. I went into the psych ward once. And yes, I got meds, but the meds were temporary. They helped when I needed it. And I went off when I felt I was done. But I left there when I felt ready to tackle what I knew was coming, which was losing another home, another bankruptcy, and severe changes in my life. So I had choices and opportunities that my mom didn't have. So for me, that week break in the psych ward was a godsend, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm not embarrassed of it. It does, however, make me sad that I landed there because no one wants to. And the things that I saw were quite sad. But maybe I shouldn't be sad. Maybe I shouldn't be sad about it. Just sad that I landed there after so many sad things in my life. But anyway, I live in this tiny house in this quiet resort. I have everything that I need and tons of what I want. I have a beautiful pond that was put in. I have a candle shed. I make candles and jewelry. I'm going to put my emphasis on the candles because the jewelry has kind of gotten me bored lately. But my candles are my babies, and I get a peace and a relaxation when I create them, and I don't know why, but I do. I've been making candles for about 15 years, and so we converted the shed into my candle shed, and I open that up in the spring and summer, and I sell candles. And that's my extra money that I've been using for my winter vacations. So I have that. And please pray that my candles continue to sell well and maybe even sell better. Because another big change in my life just happened this month. My disability ended this March, and I lose $1,000 a month income. And we are not a strong income couple as it is, so this is a big hit. And instead of living in fear, I'm choosing not to live in fear. I'm choosing to live in anticipation of a miracle from God, whatever that may be, whether Mr. Wonderful gets a part-time job that he can handle, whether I sell more candles, whether a part-time job comes up, part me learning how to spend less. I have always managed to adapt to whatever situation I've been put in, so I don't expect this to be any different. But it's a big hit. And I do a lot with the money that I get. I help my kids. I help others. I just don't, spend carelessly, although I do a little bit of that. But I spend a lot of time trying to make my tiny home into my castle. I've been in this 3 years, and I'll tell you, it's still an adjustment. It's a real adjustment going from a normal size home into something so small. And in this 400 square feet, there are 2 bedrooms. So you can imagine how small they are. My living room and kitchen area is all combined. I have 1 bathroom. My bedroom is so tiny. It's the first time in my life I've been in a full-size bed. Sometimes Mr. Wonderful joins me. And to be honest, I don't like it. Part of that is nothing to do with the fact that he hasn't been the best husband. It's more so to do with I don't want to subject anyone to how I sleep. It's awful. I'm up most of the night. I'm either in pain or I can't sleep or I have to move 45 times. I'm hot. I'm cold. Bones hurt. So I get up, feet hurt. I get cramps. Oh, got to take a pain pill. Oh, got to pee. It's just like I'm a never ending issue. So it is best if I sleep alone. And that way, at least he could get a good night's sleep instead of both of us feeling like zombies the next day. So, what else could I say? I have a dog. I have 1 cat. Neither of these pets were of my choice or my husband's choice. We inherited them from our kids. The cat just decided he didn't like my son anymore, so he moved in with us. And the dog, my daughter and son-in-law, they were not nice to the dog, so we took it. And then another joy in my life is I care for about 7 feral cats. I've become addicted to ferals while living out here. So we put a lot of time and money into them. We provide them with winter housing. I feed them. I spoil them. But they bring me a lot of joy. I like to sit out on my little porch and pet them and talk to them. I feel like God gave me that as a gift, too, to take my mind off of things. And they just give me so much pleasure. I can't even explain it because I was that one 30 years ago when my kids were little. I remember one time, this is awful. I was riding the kids home. We lived in the country at the time, and I ran over a cat, and my kids were screaming, "Mom, you just ran over a cat." And I started laughing. I said, "Yeah, I did. I pancaked his ass." And I thought it was the funniest thing ever. I mean, that's what I felt about cats. They're a dime a dozen. So here I am at I was, what, 62 when I started. I don't know how these ferals ended up here. They just did. And now if someone looks at a cat cross-eyed, I'm the first one to go stand in front of them. You even think of touching that cat or harming that cat, and I will get a baseball bat and beat your head in. Weird how that happened, because I never could like cats. But now I love them. So I think for now, I will end this. I think I've covered pretty much everything. Not everything, but most of the details in my life. I'm always looking for new makeup. It's important to me to, I don't want to be one of those women that gave up. Even though I am sickly, it's important to me to look good. So I do watch other YouTubes that I've subscribed to, and I try some of the makeup tips that they suggest, some of the products that they suggest. I have not lost my hair since I've had cancer. I've lost parts of my hair. I had bald spots, so I had to move my hair around and readjust it. I've lost my eyelashes too many times to count, to the point where, I didn't have all my eyelashes gone, but enough gone that even when I put mascara on, it actually looked funnier, because putting mascara on 10 lashes is not good. For right now, they seem to be settled in. I've been on the same treatment the whole time. It's a hormonal treatment. I started out on different treatments, but that's another YouTube too. What I'm going to try to do is make YouTubes on one thing so I can cover all of it. And hopefully if I get some subscribers and you guys have questions, you can ask me them and I can address them. I'm going to, for instance, I'll do one YouTube on just my cancer, one YouTube on just my marriage, one YouTube on just my childhood, one YouTube on maybe my candles and my jewelry, one YouTube on tiny home living and what I'm learning, being a grandma, anything else I can think of. If you happen to come across my channel and you can think of something, let me know. I'm also not one of those very shapely women. I'm a little too shapely. I don't like that either, but I'm just so happy to be alive and able to do things that's the least of my worries. But I do exercise. I found something that I can do for my legs, so I have a recumbent bike that I take out as much as I can. It doesn't help me walk better, but it seems to keep my legs loose. If I can say, my legs will not straighten. My legs bend. I have a really deep bend in them. I think my bones have fused together at the knees. That's what I'm being told. I don't want to do a knee replacement because the problem isn't just my knees. The problem is muscles and tendons behind the leg. And I think behind the leg all the way up to my buttocks, something has happened. But it seems like no one can really give me the correct answer. Break time. But anyway, so I walk funny. I can't stand long. I can't walk distances. I use a scooter. I use a walker. In my tiny home, I use nothing. That is one huge benefit of living in a tiny home, because I can get around this place with no mobility items, and it makes me feel normal. But the minute that I leave this place, if I go outside, I can get around my yard a little bit. But if I'm going to do yard work or hang by my pond or whatever, I use a scooter, or I scoot around on my walker. So I think that about covers it for this first YouTube. I'm going to do some more investigating to see if I can actually get this up. Because how the hell do you get 50 YouTube subscribers if you can't get it up? Now, I'm not talking about sexual things. I'm talking about this YouTube video. How do I start? How do I build followers if they won't publish this? So it looks like I've got more research to do. Anyway, if you happen to come across my channel, please join. Send it to everybody. Help me get that first 50 subscribers so I can actually get a channel going, so I have a chance at this. Signing off for now. I hope to do this once a week. And I will think of what to concentrate on for my next YouTube, what I want to focus on, because for my 30 minutes or approximate 30 minutes, I would like to just talk on one thing. What I gave you today was just a simple, quick gist of my 65 years of living on this earth. So see you next week.